It is a Salesforce consultant, which I'm going to be building new implementations of Salesforce. They have some clients they do ongoing Salesforce admin, building out automations for too, data migrations, things like that they do. Before I did this, I was a financial advisor, a certified financial planner for a couple of large insurance companies, brokerage banks, things like that. So it was a complete job switch for me. I kind of went toward the consultant BA type role just because I wanted to be able to leverage that experience that I had. I thought that would be the best way to do that. So I was kind of targeted in the way that I applied for jobs. I wasn't just kind of finding everything out there and blanketing. I was really specific to the kind of companies that I was applying for because I wanted them to be strong in financial services cloud. People comment all the time. They talk about the things that they're doing. There's a lot of groups that people put together themselves that let them study for things and talk about different subjects, and the study groups are great. I never got really involved in them because I just didn't really have the time. But I know a lot of people comment that they're really helpful, especially in the beginning. So then, they can learn from them. And a lot of people are very generous with their time in there. They comment a lot and help people who just have questions. There's some people who have jobs who put questions in there. There's a lot of support, and you'll get out of it what you put in it. So if you spend some time commenting on things and talking to people, they comment back, and it's really very informative. People learn a lot about the jobs that people are in and what experiences they're having, and onboarding and all that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of answers to a lot of questions from a lot of people who are doing it. I will say one of the things that they really liked was the fact that on my LinkedIn I have a YouTube video that I built a life insurance calculator. They really liked the fact that I didn't really talk about the Salesforce part of that. I mean, I did, but mostly I talked about why in financial services, financial planner jargon, that you would calculate life insurance need this way. So I explained why I got each number and how I got them and the calculations behind each one of them. And that's what they really liked, because they deal a lot with financial planners and advising companies and private advisors. And they liked the fact that I could talk their language, basically. I mean, they have a lot of Salesforce people with a lot of experience, but not necessarily, can talk their jargon. I think it was like a 2-week process. I did end up having 4 interviews. One of them was kind of so that I'm a little bit of a hybrid role with them. So I'm also going to be like writing marketing material for them, and because they do a lot of financial services cloud specific things, and they have a lot of proprietary information and proprietary products that they've built into financial services cloud. So they want me to put it in financial speak, not Salesforce speak. So a little bit of my job is going to be that too, besides being a consultant. So they had one meeting just to asked me if that was an interest for me, basically. So basically I had 3 of them. But yes, I mean, there's always days waiting in between. So it's a long process. You're always sitting out there going like, well, is it going to go anywhere? Are they still interested? You're just not quite sure because, they have things they're working on behind the scenes. I always have to remember that. To me, it's always, I want it to be on my timetable and to move quickly, but you have to remember, they have other people they're doing things, other things they have to do. So, they got to talk. It's like, you just have to wait. It's just a very painful thing to do. So there's always the, I'm a do-it-yourself kind of person too. So it's always like, I can probably do this myself. There's some videos out there. There's, it's just I wanted it to be more concise and not take as long. So that was my main decision into going with it, because it's like, I know he's going to lay this out so that it's not, I don't have to struggle with things that I shouldn't be doing, aren't going to be as effective. I really wanted a concise path to follow, and he seemed to have that. But yeah, I was still financial advisor seeing clients, and while I was trying to train and learn Salesforce. So I went into the program already certified, so I had a admin certificate before I went in. So I didn't do the study groups and that part of it. I jumped right to the LinkedIn profile and interview and volunteer project, which was great, because that really solidified the experience that I needed, and just concised all the information into what I thought was interesting, is the order that things in. So we built the membership organization and had to do all the fields and objects and everything from the beginning. So it was just really interesting in the order you have to remember to put things in, and what you have to do before you do something else, and things like that. That was really the most enlightening part of it for me, and that was just really good, because then I can at least go into something knowing, how it gets built from the bottom, and it was just really good experience. I was kind of struggling with, do I apply for jobs now? Do I need some kind of experience? And then I found his videos on YouTube, and it was like, you can do this with one certificate. And I'm like, oh, that's exciting, because I only have one. Although I was studying for the next one, because I would have been one of those people that thought, oh, I should have more of these. I should have 3, or I should have 4 before I even apply for a job. Because I did see people out there who did that. They had like 3 before they even applied for a job, which I can understand, because it's like, you really want to know what you're doing before you get out there. Although it's kind of a fallacy, because you're not ever going to know everything, but the more you can know, the better it is. But so I was like, do I do this first? Can I just apply for some jobs? What kind of jobs do I want? A lot of his information answered a lot of those questions for me. So it would just made it a little calmer, not quite so hectic, maybe. I think it's really important that people who are working while they're trying to do this, because a lot of the people in the program were unemployed because of COVID, and they had all the time, out there to all day, be on LinkedIn and do this and be more focused than I could be, because I was actually working 40 hours a week. So people have to remember that they only have so much time, and not to beat themselves up about that, because it was, I was like, well, why isn't I moving as fast as some other people? And it's like, well, it's because I wasn't out there as much, and I wasn't putting as many hours in the day into it, because I just couldn't. I had to work. So people have to remember, if they have another job, they just got to give themselves a little bit of a break, because it's not quite going to move as fast as some other people. I also think it's important to know that you have experience. You have experience in whatever field that you are already in, and you need to leverage that. If you've worked for quite a few years in a field, if that's a field that uses Salesforce, use that. You have to use that experience that you have in another job, and the background that you have that has value for a lot of Salesforce people, because you understand the industry, and they're willing to train you more than the training that you have when you go into it. You just have to use that and bring that to the forefront of your interviews. Because I was constantly talking about that in interviews, is, I have this experience and I understand the language of financial services, and I can talk in the language of your clients, basically. So, and they were excited about that. That's something they really liked. Honestly, the hardest part of the program for me was probably, I'm kind of an introvert. I'm not somebody who puts myself out there all the time. So commenting and putting things on LinkedIn all the time was actually a struggle for me. I mean, I have an opinion. I'm just not always somebody who wants to put it out there all the time. So just the constant having to do that, that was probably my biggest struggle. And I probably didn't even do it to the point that I probably should have. But that was probably my struggle, just trying to be out there on LinkedIn and want to express an opinion and put it out there. That's probably not really me. So I had to struggle with that a little bit. The favorite part of my program was probably the volunteer project. I thought that was great. I like to collaborate with people and build that and find the solutions. That's the part of Salesforce that I really like anyway, is the finding the solutions to the problem and, researching it and see if it can make it work. And that's the part I like anyway. So that's the part I really liked. So, if you build it yourself, you have your own requirements. And some things you don't even think about trying to build in. So I liked it because we had, it comes at you at requirements. So the things that you need to build into it, things maybe I wouldn't have thought to try to put into it, especially at that point. And then you get to bounce ideas off other people, because that's going to be your life eventually anyway, because my company has a chat which they sit and, compare ideas, problems that they run into. So that's kind of what they do all day. That's going to be something that I'm going to be doing anyway. So bouncing ideas off of other people, getting, places where you can look for solutions it's part of the process of the job you're going to have. So that to me was a good part of it. Get to watch some other people's solutions, but it's just good because you came in with requirements that we need. We need this and this, and I've already seen that type of thing in my new role. So it's very applicable to the job you're going to have, at least for me as a consultant. Anytime you learn anything, you're not going to know everything, and they know I don't know everything. So there's not an expectation of me going in there knowing I know everything, because that they know that and I know that. But they have a very good training program, and actually I haven't onboarded yet, so I'm not going to onboard until May 10th. So I'm kind of out here waiting to totally get into the onboarding process, because I'm starting a little bit ahead of time. So I have a lot of downtime right now, which they told me to enjoy, because eventually I will not have that. So I've been, I'm completing my studying for that platform outbuilder kind of during the day too, but I get to actually slowly introduce myself into the software programs that they use. They use Salesforce. They have a task plan that they use. So I get to spend the time, which is kind of nice, just exploring the different things that they use and getting up to speed on them before I actually go into the onboarding process, which is actually really good. And then I'm going to start writing some things for them too. So I'll get introduced to some of the people who've written them, so I can interview them and find out, the benefits of the things that they've built. They're going to put me in some meetings and kind of let me be a fly on the wall and listen to the client interaction calls that they do. So these are the things I'm going to get to do before I actually onboard in May. So I think that's a great thing, because I'm going to get introduced to it more than once, which is great, because, you can't gather everything the first time you do it. So I think that'll be awesome. I think just the most important thing is, if you have experience in a field, you need to leverage that. You basically are starting over. You're starting in a new field, but you do have a lot of job experience that you already have. So if you aren't 25, you probably have job experience in some field. Leverage that, because you have experience that's valuable. So that's pretty the most thing I wanted to get across, is people just really need to know that the experience they have is valued, and people are looking for that. Yeah, and people have experience in managing people, in talking to clients. I talked to clients in my previous job, so it's managing a conversation with a client, managing expectations with a client. That's a big one. Just you have those experiences. You need to bring those out in your resume or on LinkedIn. I watched somebody in the chat that in the group are talking about, the fact that I have some SQL experience and I did this a long time ago. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, you need to bring that out because, there's a lot of SQL used in Salesforce, and if you have and you understand SQL queries, that's something you need to bring out because that's a trait. Everybody wants that. And I've taken some Udemy classes, so I think eventually that might, come into something that I can help with that too. But it's just the little things that you've done in your life that have value that you need to bring out to people. And when you're in a conversation with somebody over a Zoom call, which is kind of hard to do, you have to learn how to just make that person human. You have to communicate and just find a way to just connect with them because they're people. A lot of them will hire people they like or somebody who's at least somebody they can talk to because they know those people have to talk to clients eventually. And, if they like you, they might like you too. So it's a relationship kind of thing. So you have to make yourself human over Zoom, which is hard.